Hello, Doomloopers, and welcome to another episode of the Doomloop Dispatch, the show that covers the worst parts of the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm your host, Kevin L. Jones, and with me whenever possible is...
Scott Miller. Glad to be back.
Yeah. Sad we missed you, man. But
man, because that was a great podcast, man. I mean, I've been meaning to meet P-Force for a long time, and he's just a solid cat, man. He knows his stuff. I mean, I mad respect for him.
Yeah, totally. And it was really good to hear about Emeryville too. It's such an interesting place because it's like so weirdly between everything. Yeah. It's strange.
Also, just to hear the struggles and the strife of the place that you really don't consider very much. You know what I mean? It's like a strip. You go from one point to another point. You don't even think about the citizens, and you don't think about their policies and stuff very much. So that was really insightful. I like to have him back. I'd like to have him back.
Yeah, he was great. Super smart. And also, I just loved hearing, too, like the real John Botters, you know? He's one of these candidates out there that, it's like him and Jesse Arreguin, where it's like this kind of facade of like, look, I'm doing things and look, everyone likes me. But then, like, when you really get down to it, it's like, oh, man, you were just a sellout, you know?
Yeah, and that's a good comparison, too. I think that's a great comparison. That's how I feel about what's going on in Berkeley right now, too.
Yeah. So today's episode, we've decided we're going to go over the props because we think, hey, we know what we're talking about. Let's endorse some stuff. And these state props actually are really important. And there's a lot of misinformation going on, especially some very important ones specifically. So let's just get right into it. First, let me we're going to go to CalMatters.org. We're going to kind of use this for the screen. To me, they seem pretty objective. All I could see is just very factual, very breaking it down. Thankfully, there is a lot of sites that are like that where it really doesn't seem biased. And so we can use that.
Yeah.
Great. So first off, let's get into it. Let's talk about Prop 10. Some of these props we'll just do really fast, you know, because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially like this one, Prop 2. This is just about a bond getting $10 billion to build schools, and we need it, especially for facilities being so old. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I agree with you 100%. Like, you know, that this is just one of those measures. Like, it's what politics is supposed to be. You know, there's no controversy here. Okay, guys, let's just fund our schools. You know what I mean? And that's easy.
Especially the facilities themselves are so important, honestly, especially if we get more kind of airborne viruses like we did with COVID. If you want the kids to be in school, you got to have proper ventilation. This is what this pays for. Air conditioning, too, is a big thing that a lot of people don't think about for our schools, but especially here in the Bay Area, we're kind of in a cloudy, foggy area, so we don't get the heat like they do in Orinda, in Rio Vista, in Antioch, and they still have these really old schools where there's no air conditioning there, and there's like broken windows and everything too. Like, so it's really gets hard for our students, and that really affects their learning. So it's so important to keep up with these kind of repairs and new facilities and everything else.
Exactly. Yes, 110. No question.
No question. Or 2, sorry. All right. All right, next is Prop 3, and this is also very obvious, but it is kind of worth a little discussion. So back, what was it, 2008? Yes, 2008, they passed Prop 8, which took California by such surprise. I remember being shocked that it passed when it did. Especially this was following Gavin Newsom basically in response to George W. Bush at the time talking about, you know, they're coming for our marriages. But basically, you know, he said some things that were very homophobic, very anti-gay marriage. And so Newsom just said, screw it, I'm going to allow marriages. Didn't really work out. Did not do it. Basically just pissed off a lot of people. I don't think those marriages even count. Maybe they did. Hopefully they did. But he just really kind of defied something that, you know, and we learned that doesn't work out in the end. And then this basically inspired, especially the Mormon church in Utah, to throw millions into this prop that actually defined marriage in the California Constitution is between one man and one woman.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because especially too, everyone thought it wasn't going to pass. It was going to get shot down, had all this money, so many supporters. But apparently it came out later that the campaign against Prop 8 that was getting all this money, very lackadaisical, was not doing their job. And basically this just passed to everyone's surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those first times, like, that you could actually start seeing, like, there was outside influences in our local politics, because it was something that was absolutely anathema to the spirit of California at that time. So I mean, like that was one of the. I mean, we've seen this happen a couple of times in other instances as well. But no, we just got mollywopped by a bunch of right wingers, who shouldn't have even been involved in the first place.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, like, repealing Prop 8 is just like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
to fix that. You know what I mean?
And it's so ridiculous because the big part of it too is now that same-sex marriage is not only legal in California, which was decided by the courts, it's also the Supreme Court, the SCOTUS actually just determined that same-sex marriage is legal. Yeah. So honestly, right now, it doesn't matter in a sense, that it's in the Constitution, it's being overridden by the national government. But we all know that the SCOTUS sure does like to, go back on its decisions.
I see this measure as a protection from just that, in the event, and I think it's really smart. I think it's a really smart measure to try to get passed, especially right now during the general election.
I know if they could take away abortion, they definitely want to go back on same-sex marriage. I mean, they're even talking about interracial marriage, going back on that.
Yeah, I actually saw somebody say loving was a mistake, and I was like, the fuck, blocked.
As it should be. Seriously, no government should determine who you marry.
Yeah. That was something. That's one of Elon's friends who popped up in my feed on Twitter. I was just like, what? No, fuck you, gone.
Beep. Yeah. Actually, I would say the one thing is children. You shouldn't be able to marry children. That's it. I think there's I think that truly maturity matters, but beyond that, if it's two consenting adults, it should not matter.
That's the term. The term is consenting adults. But yeah, that one right there is an easy one. Absolutely.
Totally. So next one, Prop 4, another one, another yes. Yeah. Actually, a big time yes, because this is really. There's two big things about here. Water quality, which absolutely, if you do not stay up on water quality standards and infrastructure, it will deteriorate and it will get bad. And it's so important to have clean water. I mean, let's talk to Flint, Michigan. What happened, Yeah.
I mean, and Prop 4, I mean, my wife works for a water action canvassing thing, and I'm really encouraged by all the support she's hearing about this measure. Prop 4 is like, it should be common sense, but then we have people who are like climate deniers and things like that who are actually fighting against it, land developers, things like that. So I mean, we got to put a big yes on 4, because if not, it just goes underneath the radar.
Yeah,
right. It's just another one of those measures. It seems like kind of here, kind of there, when in fact you're actually trying to make sure your water isn't brown. So I mean, you need to vote on it. Don't skip on it. Like, really vote yes on 4 for real.
Yeah, and there's two important things to point out about it too. One is that the state legislature had passed something to cover all this.
Yeah,
and then Newsom's government basically turned on it and took away all but. Took away like 10 billion. I mean, basically what is being going to be supplied by this.
Yeah.
And I mean, the pushback is all about bonds and about how you don't want to build up this kind of debt that can be hard to pay back. But the thing is that it truly is guaranteed money. If you ask anybody that lives off stock investment, they'll tell you they love these kind of measures because no one is better about paying back their money than the state. It's the most dependable thing, and that's why they love it.
Yeah, I didn't talk about that, but that makes absolute sense.
Yeah. And then on top of this too, another important thing about this is fire prevention. We've had really, really bad wildfires these past few years. I mean, during COVID, it was absolute hell, because not only were you not going out or like socializing because of the virus going around and not people not knowing and no vaccines yet, you literally had massive wildfires that were all started by lightning strikes, and the fact that the PG&E equipment had not been updated. Private partner
houses to each other like that weren't in code with the zoning laws. It was a tinderbox. It was a tinderbox.
Oh my God. And it was terrible too, because like not only could you not socialize, you had to stay inside because the air quality was so bad. And it was the summer. I mean, it was the Bay Area summer. So it's like later September, October when it gets the hottest. And it was just miserable.
Do you remember when we woke up with the red sun? Did you get a chance to see the red sun when it happened?
Oh, I got plenty of pictures. Oh, man. So insane.
Talk about some post-apocalyptic shit, man. You wake up one morning, you got to put on your mask.
Totally.
These similar things, and then the sun looks like it's Blade Runner or some shit, like you're on Mars or some shit. God damn.
I know. My favorite meme of that time, I'm a big 49ers fan, and at the time they were losing a bunch of games, and like literally the meme was just like Sourdough Sam, the mascot, like going like this with an orange sky behind him, and the Bay Bridge with an orange sky that just said "I want to die." It was like, yeah, that was it. That's totally how I felt. Oh, good times.
Californians are made of stern stuff, man. I'll give you that. We're stern. We're stern people.
Totally. So yeah, it's got to be passed. Prop 4 has got to be passed. Don't listen to anyone complaining about bonds and taxes and stuff like that. This is what the government needs to do. And if you can't trust Newsom to do the right thing, you got to take matters in your own hands.
Yeah.
Now, up next is a very, very important Prop 5. And this is about lowering the voter threshold to be able to pass infrastructure projects and other things. This is right now, because of Prop 13, one of the most evil propositions to ever be passed in California history. It truly destroyed all the public infrastructure, especially schools. Schools just went to dirt after Prop 13 was passed. And a big part of that was because included in the prop was something that said taxes at all ends needed to be passed with 2/3 majority. 2/3.
Yeah.
And it is insane how easy it makes it to stop needed funding. Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I was in El Cerrito, one of the most popular things in the city is their library. Everyone loves the El Cerrito library, but it is old, it is decrepit, it's not keeping up. The space looks like a school from the 70s. It needs to be upgraded, and every year they'd be putting more funding on just to get a new building, just to fix it up, and it would get so close every time, like always just by a percentage point it would miss. Right. But that's what anti-tax people want, and so this can at least undo that, because I mean there's so much that our cities need to be able to do, especially affordable housing. We need public housing. We can't let our free markets. We can't depend on the markets to build the housing we need, because guess what? They're just going to build market rate housing and go, hey, trust me, in like 20 years, it'll be affordable.
Right. And also, I mean, people have to remember public money for public goods and public services, And so, I mean, like, that's how I feel about a whole lot of these ballot measures. I mean, like doing every election, because we're not just talking about these props, right? We're talking about voting in general. Like, of course, read the fine print. But if you're not seeing anything that's kind of shady or fishy, public money for public good, right? I mean, that should just be a motto. Like, we're paying for it. But so we want good libraries. We want places where people can sleep at night, roof over their heads. We're paying for it. So, like, always say yes to these kind of measures. Prop 5 is just one of those kind of measures. Is public money for public goods and services. That should always be something, like, that should be a priority of any state, any city.
And exactly. And another big part to note about this too is hospitals are included this.
Yeah.
And we are losing hospitals left and right. We might lose or probably will lose Alta Bates in Berkeley. I mean, that is a central hospital. That's not only where my kids were born, but where my wife was born. I mean, that's how
mine too. Both my kids were born Alta Bates.
It's so central, and they really might just let it die because it's healthcare in our country is a private industry, and it's like, well, cost savings, what does it matter? It's just not worth it to us, despite being such a community need.
A massive community need, maybe.
I know, especially where you're going to go after that. You're going to go to Highland. You're going to have to go to Kaiser, Oakland. I mean, it's just, it's just, you need to be able to take down the 2/3 voting requirement, and all I have to say too is just look at the enemies of Prop 5. Yeah. It's all landlord association, corporations and stuff like that.
Developers. Yeah, I mean, they're not going as hard as they could against that measure. I'm not seeing a whole lot of no on fives taking place out there, but those kind of measures are always going to get fought by those guys every last time. Yep.
I mean, no matter how good it could be for them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Taxes, always.
Yeah, always.
All right. Now, Prop 6.
Man.
This is we got to discuss this. This is so important. Wow. But I mean, literally in California, in the California Constitution, there is a loophole for slavery. Yeah. And it is prisoners. Yeah. That's how insane this state constitution is. And they're like, oh, go on.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It actually is just that's a cut and paste from the Constitution itself, right? There is something in it's the 14th Amendment, and in that amendment it says that there's no such thing as slavery anymore. We're going to make it illegal unless you are a prisoner, right? Yep. And so this is just a cut and paste of America. Like America still has this, right?
It's so bad.
America still has it, right? And so, I mean, it is the private prisons. Just yesterday, it was found out in Louisiana, they are now taking in teenage boys, 17 years old, who have misdemeanors and putting them in private prisons as if they're felons, right? And the reason why they found it was 17-year-old boys mostly is because it's 9 out of 10 of the prisoners who are caught in this program are Black. And so they're going to have them doing whatever kind of strenuous physical labor that not even a man in his 30s or 40s can do. Right. So I mean, and that was just yesterday. That was just yesterday because we have this provision. And so the thing is that for me, right, because it is slavery. I mean, and that's the whole thing. It's based on slavery. Right. And if we can get this happening in California, maybe there are other states who are going to try to do this coalition thing, because I'm sure that this thing is still on the books everywhere. Like, it's probably still in the books. It's a cut and paste thing directly from the Constitution. So, I mean, we have to amend this. We have to fix this. Like you're not. Is that person there for rehabilitation? Is that person there for just to be incarcerated, or is that person there to do labor?
Yep.
Right. I mean, and that really is the real question. What happens to our prison system when we take the profit out of it like that? Yeah. Right. What happens to our prison system? Like, when these guys are still going to have to earn their bread inside, right? Of course they are, but they'll earn their bread in the ways that they used to do so in prisons, which is actually used to maintain the prison and things like that. Being a cook, being this, being that, yard work, like tools, fixing on the cars and stuff, and the trucks and the jeeps. Like, that's how they used to do it, right? But now, if you're going to be doing it for profit, this whole thing doesn't make any fucking sense anymore. I mean, it always was about profit. It always was about the majority Black people in slavery, so you continue to plunder their labor. Like that's basically what the prison system, the whole prison system as we know it today, with that amendment, that's exactly what it is. We're just going to keep you enslaved.
Yes,
right. That's what we're going to do. And so, so it is a thing that needs to change, and maybe this is the way to do it: is to change it on the state level first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Think globally, act locally. This is a great place to start. But I mean, and it's so insane too, because this is it's like the open tragedy. It's like the open travesty of our government is the fact that everyone knows this is what's going on. I mean, it was a part of that show, Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
I mean, people know that especially privatized prisons then take their prisoners and try to make it seem like a good thing. Oh yeah, you can work, and what's it like, make $6 a day, completely exploitable wage.
Yeah.
And of course, if this continues on, why wouldn't our incarceral system basically set up to provide free labor? Like, why wouldn't it turn into a system like that? It should be about rehabilitation. It should be about trying to get people that made, and I'll say it, crimes. I mean, in very few things, crimes are basically mistakes. They're bad decisions. And people should get second chances.
I think if I had my way, a prison would be a place where they would focus on making sure they don't have recidivists.
Yes.
Like
yes.
That will be it. Like, well, how did you get in here? Okay, let's try to figure out ways you don't do that again. Let's figure out ways to not make you a recidivist. Right.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, like, and you might want to call that rehabilitation, but it might be something even simpler than that. You know what I mean? But we'll never know as long as you need these bodies.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll never know. Right. So I think like, yeah, of course. Yes. On Prop 6. I mean, absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, seriously, this is definitely, I hope everyone gets out the vote for this, because this could truly make a big difference, especially in a state known for things like 3 strikes and other awful pro-carceral legislation that we should leave in the dust, that we should forget, we should see as the mistakes that we are, and go back to, look at Scandinavian countries. That's how, you imprison people. Like, even when they're, it's to take in account, these are humans we should care about, and they should, if they can, be a part of our community.
Yeah. I mean, other countries do it, and they do it way better. Yes. You know what I mean? So let's talk to those guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so definitely a yes on Prop 6. Now we're going to get into the 30s, and this is another very obvious one. Prop 32, raise state minimum wage to $18 an hour.
You cheap bastards. Vote for it.
I know. Don't listen to the hype. Don't listen to the propaganda. Raising minimum wage does not hurt restaurants as much as people think, or small businesses as much as people think. People
The studies are coming in right now that in ways it's very beneficial. There's retention that they get. They have lower turnover. And people do want to work more hours, and so, like, their staff is actually, like, enthused right now. You're investing in your business when you make sure the people who work for you are able to pay for the rent and shit. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, like if every day I'm going to do your job and I'm trying to think about, like, this other job I have to go to, right? You're not getting the best of me, and neither is that other job.
Yep.
So, I mean, to me, it just makes sense to try to convince people to want to stay at your business and to stay to work for you. So this is how you do it, and you will profit. It's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I guess it's the scarcity mindset, or, like, but if you're a businessman and you're, like, you're trying to really make your business prosper, you have to have your people prosper. That means you should pay them a fair wage. Jesus.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And again, I mean, 2 years ago, they raised it to 15.
Yeah.
And that's why they're just turning right around again, because it should be higher, especially for cost of living and stuff. But also, too, it's not unpopular. It didn't do the damage that all the scaremongers are trying to say it would.
Yeah. And mindful incrementalism. I like this.
Yeah, exactly. And it just goes to show it's not going to, but also, too, I mean, I would not be surprised if you could find a correlation between raising minimum wage and lowering crime stats, especially in places like Oakland and stuff. I mean, seriously, though. I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, think about, too, like, why do people commit crimes? It's mostly out of desperation.
Crimes of poverty. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it could also be structural poverty. Like, if you have structural poverty, like, I'm not just looking for a sandwich. I'm trying to figure out a way to get a whole loaf of bread and a whole thing of bologna. Like, that would be a structural.
Yes.
Kind of thing, you know what I mean? But it would still be a crime of poverty, ultimately. you know. So I mean, I agree with you on that, absolutely.
Yeah. So honestly, I mean, not much to be said. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. You
Just
know.
sign it. Put a yes on that one.
I know, seriously, especially it's just like what, $18? Like
Yeah.
all those restaurants, that's like lunch. That's
Yeah.
like one lunch plate for people, you know?
Come on. Help them out. Okay.
All right. And now we're on to Prop 33. Allow local governments to impose rent controls. This is the big one.
It's huge.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of debate and a lot of misinformation about this because the California Landlords Association and Chamber of Commerce, all these people do not want this to pass.
No.
And they fight so hard. They just dump money into this. And actually,
hard and dirty. They fight hot. They've been fighting hard and dirty.
Yes, they have no morals about this. Nothing is holding back. They'll say whatever they want. They will go to senior citizens and go, you will lose everything you have if this passes, you know?
It's so bizarre because ultimately, you know, we'll get into it. But like, basically what they want to do is they want to stop rent control. I mean, that's essentially what it is, right? But rent control is like, you know, a long-term investment in a thing, right? But what rent control does is it gives people a sense of security, right? Yes. Especially for people who are in startup situations or in situations where they just don't have the ability to pay these ridiculous rents, right? I mean, like these greedy motherfuckers. I know I'm not supposed to cuss on them.
Go for it.
but the thing is like, the argument they're making is this is going to hurt the small time landlord. That's the argument that they're making.
Nope.
I mean, I can't even get my head around it because I mean, basically, the people they're talking about already have most of the older landlords in Oakland. They already have rent controlled apartments. Like Oakland has them all over the place. Yep. How are you trying to scaremonger these people by saying that rent control is going to hurt them?
Yes. Yeah. And because especially too, it's also, I mean, really like the rent controls, like you can only put limits on rent for buildings built before 1995 because of Costa-Hawkins.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, like this one again to me is a no-brainer. I think it's really short-term thinking on the money interest as well. I mean, like being able to have rent control these older apartments, you know, where you have a diversification, which sounds like something they're very frightened of. Here they are, and they want to raise our cities and turn them into these little suburbs or whatever. And this is one way to do it. One way to do it is to jeopardize these rent control buildings by saying, if we get rid of this, well, we can actually just raise the rents and get them out of there. I think that right there, or not be able to do it anymore. Like we won't be able to do another form of legislation that will actually create more rent controlled apartments. But who doesn't want one? You know, who doesn't want one?
Exactly.
And so, like, you know, I mean, it's a way to shelter people. It's a way to get people in the houses. I mean, I just think it's really short sighted. I think it's really short sighted. You're not really looking at long term profits when you're thinking like that.
Well, and the worst part is that, you know, the people that are against rent control also try to deflect our homeless problem by saying, oh, well, if we just built more, then everything would be okay. Then the free market solutions will not fix this. No. I mean, and that's the thing. And honestly, Costa-Hawkins is why we have Costa-Hawkins and the Ellis Act are why we have our homeless problem.
It's absolutely true.
After the Twitter, I was at KTVU and we covered that awful Twitter tax break when that happened. And you saw, it was like a swarm. Mm-hmm. It was like an infestation. And they were all like, most of them are from New York, but like these like professional landlords that came over from New York, bought up all these buildings. And what did they do? Harass the shit out of their tenants until they left. We're talking people that thought they were going to retire there, that wanted to live there the entire lives, that might not have been rich, but they were artists who made amazing work that people wanted to see, and they made the culture.
And I mean, that Ellis Act, I mean, like I had that happen to friends of mine, you know, I mean, like they've been in their apartments for years, right? And then owner eviction move in, like owner mover in eviction, like damn. And then you got 90 days.
Yep.
Right. You know what I mean? You have a lease. It doesn't matter. You've got 90 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And
know
it's
what I
awful.
mean?
And like they actually have a whole system basically where you have the like cousin or nephew that's who you use like that. All right. And you're going to, so first you'll move here and they'll kick those people out.
Shit. Like,
Yeah.
No.
It's fucking awful. And so, I mean, that's it. So it's so important to especially right now, like there's some cities do have rent control. And honestly, you don't see the homeless issues that you do in other places because I mean, seriously, like, you know, while Berkeley does have some rent control, you know, like it's actually the kind of unhoused isn't too bad, you know, but like El Cerrito, I mean, there is nothing stopping people from just like raising the rent over and over and over again, month by month. There's nothing stopping them.
They can price people out like that. Absolutely.
Exactly. And guess what happens when people are priced out? They're not necessarily able to find something that is within their price range.
Right. Exactly. But not to mention, I mean, like, you know, you have to acknowledge that not everybody makes the same wage.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's ridiculous not to have the government to not be able to do rent control. The answer is yes on 33, like very loudly.
And don't listen to anyone saying that people are going to lose houses and stuff or who it's going to hurt. It's only going to help. The only people it's going to hurt are billionaire landlords, corporate landlords, like the people that are going to be fine, that maybe they'll take a hit to their income. But that's what leads us to Prop 34, which is freaking crazy.
Snake. It's the first one. Up until this point, we haven't had to deal with one like this one, man. Like, okay, well, yes on that one. No, don't do that. This one.
No way. No way. This is so crazy. But this is basically the landlord's revenge. It's the landlord's revenge. Like they're literally doing this because the guy that runs like I forgot the AIDS Healthcare Foundation is also the one that's been leading the charge over and over again to allow city rent control laws. Like he's the one that wants to undo and the landlord lobby is so angry with him. They literally got enough signatures to do something that punishes him specifically, his business specifically. Like it's literally like it. I mean, I haven't seen this kind of shit since like when the Congress used to go after people like Harry Bridges, and that's like the 40s, you know, like that's like where it's like specifically like this is a bill that's like going, you know, like for a state or the nation that's specifically just about one dude.
But it's the way that it's written that actually kills me, right? It's the actual language itself. Because it does, like, if you didn't understand what was really being said here, right? And even though it's a heinous idea to begin with, okay, let's just make that very clear, right? Yeah. To require certain providers to use prescription drug revenues for the patients, like that means that the onus would fall back onto the healthcare provider themselves. Yeah. That's just a really bad idea. Like they're going to need support just like every other industry and an organization would need support. Like don't make it like a self-feeding apparatus on itself. That doesn't make any sense. But it's the language is that beginning, serve low income and at-risk patients and get a discount on pharmaceuticals. That line, the way that line is written, if you were not aware of what the motivation was behind the bill, or if you didn't even think, if you didn't take the time to actually look at what the bill was actually saying, as far as how that revenue is going to be generated and where that revenue is going to go and all of that, like you would just think you're helping somebody, the low income and at-risk patients. Like that's the reason they put that shit in there.
Yes.
That's why they put that shit in there. It's to deceive. Yeah. It's a snake. It's actually a snake piece of legislation. It's so snaky shit, man.
It's so evil. It's seriously. I mean, but that's why these consultants get millions of dollars. Yeah. I mean, it's real rich to rat fuck somebody. You want to make a lot of money, rat fuck somebody.
Man, things are going to get weird in the 30s. I can already tell you guys. Dude. Things are about to get weird in the 30s. But no on Prop 34.
No on Prop 34. Don't listen to anything that's said about it. It's just about punishing somebody who cares about the people of this state.
It rocks.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on to Prop 35. Now, this is actually a pretty interesting prop because it's just basically like it's trying to make sure there's more money for Medi-Cal.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
And it's really clever how they're doing it too. I mean, so basically, like there already is a measure that can protect Medi-Cal, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that like Medi-Cal sometimes can't cover the bills of certain doctors in certain districts in certain parts of California, right? So basically, what they want, there is a bill that actually allows California to help with the Medi-Cal payments, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to renew it all the time.
Yep.
Right. And so it's already happening, right? There will be more money because it doesn't have to be renewed, doesn't have to be stopped, doesn't have to be reviewed, right? But the thing that's happening is actually already happening. It's just going to be more money flowing through with more time, right? So I mean, that to me is like, it's a no-brainer, but it's one of those ones I think that people would skip because they don't understand exactly the extent of how Medi-Cal, helps California.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it comes off looking kind of boring, kind of boom, but it is something that's really going to help Californians just like maintain what they already have, maybe even get a boost of more. So, I mean, of course it's yes on Prop 35, but I think most people are going to probably skip this if nobody actually pulls their collar, you know?
And it's so sad because it is kind of a confusing thing. And the pushback too, there is some it's like there's some logic to it, but it's kind of sneaky, kind of evil logic. But I mean, because really, it's like, for one, you're supporting a privatized healthcare system. Basically, the whole thing is that, I mean, people don't want to take Medi-Cal because it pays so low, compared to everything else. So, I mean, this is basically to be able to shovel more funding to the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
But also the big part of it too, that like kind of why there's a lot like a pretty strong pushback is because the state legislature likes to use these funds and put it into the general fund.
Right.
And so they like to cover their debts and stuff.
Right.
And it's like you're kind of, and it's so awful because instead of just like, hey, let's make sure we tax people, let's make sure, that donors don't want that. And so, with donors being so powerful, it's getting harder and harder to do the right thing and tax the richest.
Well, I mean, to me, the way I feel about that whole situation is, I mean, like if there are ways that we can dismantle, this for-profit healthcare system, right? But I don't think that actually necessarily that there's going to be a strong enough ballot measure that's going to do that. That needs to be an administrative value all the way throughout whatever party decides to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This thing is just like, well, yeah, the system's fucked up, but we'll make it a little bit less fucked up. I mean, that's basically what I think this measure is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, because it still matters. Like, we definitely have people still dependent because healthcare costs are so expensive.
Yeah.
So sanely expensive. Yeah. And this is for people, these are for our seniors. Yeah. These are the people that really need this care, because especially it's not just like, oh, it's keeping them alive. Why just let them die? No, it's like, just like give them pain free. Let them be able to enjoy their last years, know?
Yeah. I mean, let the wheels work. Right. Yeah. That might be the best fucking will we can come up with right now. Right. It's not the best will we have, but let the will work. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is just adding a little bit of grease to that will to let the will continue working and maybe work longer and stronger. So, I mean, like I'm with 35, but I agree with you everything you said.
Yeah. And hopefully, with this kind of stuff being passed where it's like making, like you can't use this money for anything except this.
Yeah. No, that would be cool.
Exactly. And hopefully this will basically force the legislature to start doing the right thing and start taxing the richest among us.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So we're at our last prop, but this is a huge one that we definitely need to talk about. Prop 36.
God.
It's so awful. This is the retail and businesses and the Chamber of Commerce pushing back against the people.
Yeah. It's terrible, man. It's really terrible. Like they're trying to turn misdemeanors into felonies.
Yep.
Right. And so that's just fucked up.
Yep.
That's just fucked up. And like, so Prop 47, I think this is also in retaliation to that too. You know what I mean?
Big time.
And so, like, and unfortunately, I think it's going to pass. I say no. I say no very loudly, but
no way
it's going to pass. Yeah. And the reason I think it's going to pass is because really good PR from the people who are against it.
Yep.
Right. I mean, like when Gavin Newsom went along with these sweeps, for example, right? That was a draconian measure that you agreed with.
Yes.
Like, you pretty much invited the vampire into your house when you did that.
Yes.
Right. So then they started using his rhetoric about the sweeps to promote this fucking prop.
Yep.
Right. And then he goes and you did cave when they started talking about wage theft. Right. Not wage theft. What they call it? I want to talk about wage theft. That's in my head. Looting, shoplifting.
Oh yeah. Retail theft. Yeah.
I kind of blanked out, but like, no, you went along with that.
Yes.
You went along with that. So you went along with two draconian measures back to back. Yeah. And you didn't understand that you were actually inviting the vampire into your house.
I know. I mean, seriously, Prop 47 was passed because everyone knew our prisons were overwhelmed. They were packed, and it led to terrible conditions in those prisons. And we're talking not career criminals. Yeah. We're not talking murderers or gangsters or whatever. We're talking people like just thieves that were desperate, you know?
Petty theft, mostly petty theft.
Yeah.
And that was what the measure did, was just define what petty theft meant.
Yes.
Right? Like, we're going to define petty theft, right? Petty theft should be treated differently. It's petty.
Yes.
Right? And so this thing right here does the exact opposite.
Yep.
It does the exact opposite.
Yep.
But the thing is like I say, because of the top-down mismanagement, because if we look at London Breed, she did the same thing. If we look at London Breed, she did the same thing. Like this propaganda that they allowed to infiltrate into their system. Right? Why didn't you see this coming? So right now, Gavin Newsom is going all over the place. He's tried to write some counter legislation on this thing. Like he's making it public. He's going to TV stations and news paper are talking to reporters about it. He's adamantly against this prop. Yes. But I still think it's going to pass because he helped him pass it.
Yeah, and he made it end because he's kind of on their side. I mean, and let's be real about this stuff, you know. So basically during the pandemic, businesses, especially brick and mortar, really started losing money.
Yeah.
And they refused to take responsibility and be like, yeah, shit, we're screwed up. We expanded too fast. Yeah. We don't have the income coming in. I mean, honestly, you saw over and over again, they were like listing, like, we're gonna like Walgreens, CVS, we're going to have to close Rite Aid. We're going to have to close tons of our pharmacies and stores and stuff because we can't keep them open because after the pandemic.
Right.
But then what they were saying in the media was it's retail theft. All these people, like, especially in California, every time. And they use these store closures to go after people like District Attorney Chesapeake.
Yeah.
They
Price is Shane Dow. Yeah.
And they're doing it against Price as well. All this kind of stuff. Yeah. Pamela Price got blamed for an In-N-Out getting closed.
Right. And what's so crazy is that she just finished closing the case with, I'm trying to remember if it isn't Walgreens and Safeway.
Yes.
She just finished closing the case, and which they have to pay back the city for wage theft.
Yes.
And so the very person,
Walgreens.
Yeah, Walgreens. It was Walgreens. The very person that you're saying is not stopping crime just stopped a much larger crime than any of the petty crimes all put together. Yeah. Wage theft takes most of the money. Yes. It's not the petty crimes. So Pamela Price is actually out here fighting crimes.
Yes.
And you're trying to get her out for fighting crimes.
Yes. And this was even being pointed out back in 2021 that wage theft was actually a way bigger crime than what was going on retail theft wise. But but that's the kind of crime that these corporations like. So let's not draw attention to that,
Yeah, I really hope that whoever is behind trying to get this measure off the ballot, I wish them everything.
Yeah.
I hope they have the support. I hope they have the money. This is a terrible fucking measure.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Especially as we were just talking about with prison slavery. I
Yeah.
mean, this is like what would contribute to that. This
It's
would
the pipeline.
feed this, you know?
It's the pipeline. It's an honest
Yeah.
pipeline. If you're gonna charge somebody who has a misdemeanor for a felony, that could be anything of the judge's fucking discretion.
Yes.
Right. So of course they're gonna put you in the for-profit prison. Of course they are.
Yes.
It's
But
still,
here, but it's, yeah, and exactly. And but then how do they couch it? How do they cover it up? Oh, well, actually, if we do this, we're gonna fix our homeless problems and all those drug addicted, unhoused people, all the junkies on the street. Yeah. Well, if we can use this, because guess what? They're the ones stealing all the stuff, then they're gonna be fine. It's like, well, for one, the retail thefts thing, I mean, where people being taken advantage of by rich people, you know, all the rings, the retail theft themes, all the people that have been on the top of it are like rich white ladies and stuff like that, you know, like setting up like basically like makeup theft scams, you know, where they get people to steal makeup.
or the president of a police union.
Oh yeah,
or president of a police union.
Yes.
Are we talking about theft and drug trafficking? Okay, are you talking about the head of the police union?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the suburban mom? Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, exactly. But I mean, specifically retail theft and stuff. I mean, I mean, it's a terrible way to cloud what is really at the issue of homelessness. It's not drug addiction.
No.
It's not, you know, and the drug addiction is not pushing this retail thefts.
Right.
It's homelessness. It's the majority are working homeless, you know, they have jobs, they just can't afford to live where they work.
Right.
I mean, and it's because landlord greed. Like honestly, not retail theft, not drug problems, Bo. I mean, you're going to hear that a lot because for one, you have the stores that, you know, they don't want to pay for security guards. And they also know, too, that locking up things, which they kind of have to do if they want to save their deodorant and their razors from being stolen, does make it a turnoff to customers.
Well, I mean, I think that, like, you know, for me, I mean, like, I of course, I have my issues with corporations, but of course, I also have my issues with the state. Yeah. Right. Like just like not the state of California. I mean, like the state as a state should function. Yes. Right. And so, I mean, like the thing is, if the state is functioning and when the state starts functioning better, the people start functioning better.
Yes.
Right. So the problem is like this, and this is not, when I say the state, I'm not talking about California. I'm talking about the state.
Yes.
Right. The state has a homeless problem.
Yeah.
Right. The state needs to invest in fixing that homeless problem. Right. State has a poverty problem and the state needs to invest more into fixing that poverty problem. Then we can actually start talking about what really is crime, because everybody is sheltered. Everybody is secure. Everybody's getting an education. Everybody, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Then we can actually see what actually is a crime.
Yes.
Right. We don't even know what a fucking crime is. I personally, you stole some tennis shoes. I don't think you're a menace to society. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't. Yeah, I don't think you should go to jail for that shit. If you stole some tennis shoes, dumbass. Here, like, you know, like in the Bing, out the Bing. You know what I mean? Like that's it, you know.
I know. I mean, truly, that phrase is pitch perfect. Homelessness is a policy choice.
Yes, it is. Yes, I agree.
And so don't listen to any of the pro Pop 36 propaganda. Vote against it. It's truly just the worst elements of our society trying to get their way, trying to absolve themselves of their responsibility and their contributions to our issues, make it any other's problems, and probably find a way to profit off it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, to me, it is related to the other measures, right?
Yeah.
Like all this is how they do. This is a part of their tactic. You know what I mean? And then also, I mean, and it's unfortunate because we're actually seeing it happen in real time. But like a lot of these right-wing influencers, their main thing is just to push California a little bit further to the right.
Yep.
Like that really is all they're trying to do. There's an incremental thing they're trying to accomplish here. Yes. And this is just one of their pushes.
Yep.
Right. So like, and don't be like Gavin Newsom. Don't be like London Breed. Don't comply. right? Don't don't give up before it actually starts, man. It's like so don't let them creep in. And the way we can all stop them from creeping in is by voting against Prop 36.
Yes, yes. We do not want to go back to Reagan's California.
No, we do not.
Totally. All right. Well, that's been it. That's all our propositions. Hopefully you appreciate our input. I will make sure to put all of our recommendations in the comments or the info for this video and podcast. So you can always come back and reference it. I'll also have links for people to check out too, especially things that are important. And then, yeah. So what you got planned for the weekend, Scott?
Oh, nothing.
Nice. Nice. You're lucky, man.
yeah. Like farmers market tomorrow is the only thing on my schedule, man. Like I'm gonna take this goddamn weekend. I earned it.
Nice. I'm having a musical weekend. I'm going to 3 shows. I'm playing one on Sunday, and I'm going to one tonight and one tomorrow. So
what's the spots, man? Like big up yourself. What are the spots?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see now. Tonight is kind of like a house party show. So they're not giving out the house, but tomorrow in the city is a band called Gel, female fronted hardcore that I highly recommend. It's great. They're like, heavy, like da 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 da, like that kind of stuff, like heavy riffage.
Yeah.
But their singer is like, she always wears like athletic wear. She always looks like she's going to the gym, and I think that's probably on purpose because she's just like dancing around the entire time. But then you hear her sing, and it's just like like Oscar the Grouch or something. It's so like harsh and heavy. Yeah,
savage, huh?
She's great. One more time.
What's the venue?
Oh, Brick and Mortar in the city.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Highly recommend that. And then on Sunday, my band Suboptics, we play with this band Psychic Graveyard at the Stork Club in Oakland.
Yeah,
that's my favorite venue. Tony Bedard, who's books there, is just the greatest. And and so that'll be fun. So yeah, busy weekend.
I might be able to slip away from the kid and the wife. Just come check you out, man.
All right, let me know. I will get you on the guest list, man.
All right. I might be able to. I can't make any promises because things are really hectic around.
I know. One of these days we're gonna hang out, though.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Well, again, all you Doom loopers, please check out all our social medias. Follow us on social media. Twitter, X, Instagram, and TikTok. And then also please support us on Patreon just so we can cover our StreamYard cost. And then next week, well, hopefully next Saturday, we might be having a special guest, one we've been dying to get to.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm still doing homework, folks. I'm still doing homework.
Yes, exactly. But we've been waiting to speak with her for a long time. I'll just give that hint. So anyways, love all you people and keep fighting the good fight.
Keep fighting the good fight.